Well, a very efficient 33 runs for the opening wicket, and then suddenly another 18 runs has seen the fall of 4 wickets for Namibia at the completion of the 10th over. 51 for 4, and it's the spinners who have been in the action after the early wicket to Jasprit Bumrah. 2 for 8 for Ravindra Jadeja, 1 for 8 for Ravichandran Ashwin, and a few nervous moments when Rahul Chahar came into bowl as well. Here we are on Cricbuzz Comm Box, halfway through the final Super 12 game between India and Namibia. I'm joined by Simon Doull. For the first few minutes, they actually looked as if they sort of belonged there, that 6 that was hit. And then the associate nation creeped back in for a bit.
Yeah, it was rough bowling, I thought, up front. Shami wasn't bad, but Bumrah, what did we see? 4 full tosses in his first over was quite alarming. There's some really nice batting up front, some indifferent bowling, you would think, from Bumrah in particular. That 2 overs, 1 for 11. His second over was much tidier as far as pitching the ball is concerned. Shami just bowled 2 tidy overs, and then the others of the spinners have all bowled a couple apiece. Good start, but yeah, it's drifted away already. They need this partnership. These are the keys. Skipper Erasmus and David Wiese are probably the two best players. Erasmus in particular has looked good at times, and Wiese, we know how good he is, and he's been part of franchise cricket all around the world. So these are the keys to put on some sort of partnership and try and get Namibia to that 130, 140 mark, perhaps, if they could work their way there. But it'll be some pretty tough work in the back 10.
Yeah, Smith and Zane Green to follow as well. But I think the intent was something we appreciated from the Namibian openers. Yes, may have been a couple of full tosses, but they came out showing that they were not exactly looking to score 110.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what you want. There's no point in... There's 2 things you don't want to do as an associate nation when you come to these tournaments. Let's just bat out our 20 overs. That's the last thing you want to be thinking about. You want to be trying to put a score on the board. How do we win games? We're not going to win games by batting our 20 overs and that being our focus. We need to take these games on, take them by the scruff of the neck, try and dominate as we would a normal game in an associate tournament. We need to find out a way to play good cricket against good quality sides. So that means playing our shots. That means taking on the spinners if we can. It means trying to score 150, 160, 140, 150, 160 perhaps. So not eking out a score of 100 and not looking to just bat our 20 overs. They have to improve. They have to be better than that. And so that's what's been impressive for me from Namibia, from Scotland, certainly from some of these sides in this tournament. I've been impressed with the nature of which they've tried to play their 2020 cricket. If it doesn't work out, that's okay, but at least play it in the right fashion.
And the more of them that actually go into the different leagues around the world. I mean, IPL may be a distant dream for some of them, but there are so many leagues. We saw David Wiese in the CPL. He does, of course, play in other places, including the PSL. And it just showed that when you rub shoulders with different kinds of bowlers, you get that confidence to bring it into an associate dressing room.
100%, Gautam. Yeah, and look, what happens then too is David Wiese is able to sort of drag those Namibia players to a West Indies dressing room, to a New Zealand dressing room, because he knows guys from the franchises. So he, along with their coach, Pierre Brain, who's had a lot to do with Leicester and knows a lot of the England guys. And so they're able to drag those guys to a change room. So that's their introduction to get some conversations going around, what to do. How do we get better? Who do we, who's the guy I want to talk to? I mentioned earlier, Trumpelman talking to Bolt, JJ Smith talking to Kane Williamson and Martin Guptill. These are the things you want to see, and these are the things that can happen with franchise players playing all around the world. I wouldn't be surprised if a Trumpelman gets a gig in a CPL next year. Maybe not so much a PCL, but they'll be looking around the world at some of these guys of what someone like that, making CPL, Big Bash, PSL. There might be some of these guys that we see in the next year or two play a lot more cricket.
Quick word on India spinners. We've seen Jadeja generally play a role where he comes in, gets through his overs quickly, but you don't always associate him as a wicket taker. What we've seen in this tournament, particularly against the associate nations, he's been that leading wicket taker. He did it against Scotland, and he came in here with a couple of beauties.
Yeah, 2 for 11 at the moment. He's outstanding. We know how good at cricket Ravi Jadeja is. He's proved it time and time again. He doesn't have to prove anything to anyone. But these surfaces, every now and then when they're just held a touch, he's so lethal because of the pace he bowls. You can't get to him. You can't cut him. And so your scoring options, you still look to be going down the ground, but he just turns the ball enough, picks up those LBWs, bowl wicket to wicket. I'd be surprised if at least 50% of the balls he bowls aren't hitting the stumps or being very, very close to hitting the stumps. So that's the sort of bowler you're going to face. And, he's very, very tough to get away.
Quick assessment at this stage of a final total. Do you consider your prediction to be in safe zone right now? Although Visa should be thinking more 140 or 130 maybe.
I think it's still somewhere between yours and mine. If David Visa has an evening out, along with Erasmus, 130 to 140 is a chance, but I still think it's probably somewhere realistically between yours and mine.
Yeah, Bumrah to come back for a second spell. He'll have learned from his full tosses, Chahar to finish his spell. So there's no real respite for Namibia, but we do hope they continue to learn from their next few overs. We'll be back. We always learn. We'll be back in the 20th over to see where they go and continue our discussion. For now, that's all on Cricbuzz Comm Box.